think we can move on to our next presenter, who I believe is Jim Bruner himself.
It is. Hello. Thanks, Sid.
Hi, Jim.
Hi. Have we met?
No, I haven't met you before. I have interacted with Perrin, but I think everybody else is new. Kelly, hello, and Belen, and nice to meet you, Jim.
I like
So what are
that.
you presenting today?
I am presenting the third part of a series of presentations that I've been presenting here on GIFT. The first one, let me start my timer because I don't want to take us off schedule. The first one was about a project called Project Martian, which was the introduction of my bioreactor, which purifies water and creates compost, and accelerated compost. The second one I presented with a high school intern I had last year on a project we called BioDome, which was designed to grow food hydroponically, collect water, rainwater on the surface in the morning, or dew, and raise chickens in developing worlds so that you could improve the soil and then move the dome, improve the soil and move the dome. But it failed spectacularly because it was hot. So today I am presenting BioDome 2.0, which is a more advanced system and that I've been working on for the last 4 months, and I want to present on it. So if you don't mind, I'll just start my screen.
Maybe I'll introduce myself, and Belen and Perrin. Have you been on for a while? I'm Kelly Bigger, and I'm from the Young Entrepreneur Institute in Cleveland, Ohio. Delighted to be here with all of you today. And did I say your name, Belen, correctly? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, this is Belen Lozano. I come from Spain, and I'm a lecturer at the University of Valencia for translation studies in the English and German department. And I'm also delighted to be here. This is a pleasure for me, really.
Great, that sounds good. Perrin, have you been on for a little bit, or?
Hi, I think I was here a while ago, just a couple of minutes ago, so I was here a bit before. So, but to possibly new people who might be joining the stream or watching the YouTube video, my name is Perrin and I'm 14 years old. I'm a Filipino homeschooler living in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia as of the moment.
That's great, and nice to see you, Perrin. I think I was on with you on the last gift, so that's exciting.
So the BioDome this year, BioDome 2.0 is what I'm calling it. Just go ahead and click all the way through.
Okay.
Water, it gives me methane. It produces methane from waste and compost. It grows food hydroponically, and it gives me solar, wind, and it uses the excess heat inside the dome to power a Stirling engine, which is a 17th century device that transfers energy into motion. And then that turns an electrical device that makes power. And all of this relates to all the talks that I've given on GIFT here about UN 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So go ahead and go to the next one, and we'll go through this. This is me. I've talked quite enough about me. We'll move on. So today we are discussing the BioDome project. Go ahead and click, click. Slowly me. Click, click. This is the BioDome 1. This is the BioDome 2. You can see the difference. BioDome 1 was a flimsy dome made very much like a tent that when the wind blew too hard, it would blow it down. I can climb on BioDome 2, and it's completely covered. And currently, it is 49 degrees Celsius in there. And I have about 12 liters of water from wastewater that's being converted right now. Next. So a story of last year, hydroponics, giving the chickens a place to live, growing food, and evaporation. Next. I had to design it in CAD with my student. We built it. This is how it was designed to be used. We would create a circle of habitable, usable soil wherever you were, and create water and energy. And when the circle was done, you could put poles up and create a community center, because the solar panels, the wind turbines, and the water purification tanks would all be there, so people could come to a central location to gather food. Next. I wanted to use those shapes because those shapes are the strongest shapes in nature. Why did it fail? latitude 40 north and 83 west, it was 45 degrees in that dome regularly from April on. And I used a digital thermometer so I could tell exactly what temperature it was and track that by data points. And at some days it was almost 52. That means the life living inside of it would be destroyed. So it was unusable. Next. So what I basically realized is I had a giant dew collector, because in the morning I would go out there and that ambient heat inside would cause all the heat from the environment to collect on that dome. But I didn't have a strategy for collecting that water. Next. So I had an idea. I'm going to turn failure into a feature. Next. And then next again. So I redesigned the dome. Can you go back one, Kelly? Thank you. I reused the dome from BioDome 1. I took a child's playground toy, which is the dome you can climb on, and I modified it to make it stronger and taller. I built an airlock into it so you could walk in, close the doors behind you, and walk into the interior to maintain that heat. And then at the bottom, I created maybe 5 centimeter tube around it that was open at the top that would collect any water that went down into a cistern below it from the outside. Next. I had help. These are our young roboticist team that came to help me figure out how I'm going to engineer this. And they built the robot that lives on top of the dome, that shakes the dome at 6:30 my time every morning to shake all that water off into that water collection system. And you can see the bioreactor behind it that's also purifying and collecting water. Next. So it's stronger and it's more efficient. Here you can see where that PVC on the right, you can see where that PVC dome is, and the entire thing is structured together so that all water ends up in that dome. And the interior, you can still see I have the hydroponic tower there that is currently growing spinach for me. Next, the first feature, water. I'm using the Mach 2 water evaporation unit. I'm using pond water when I need to, because my pond water is endlessly renewable. It's filled by rainwater. Wastewater, and one thing you can't really see in this picture, and I'll do better in other pictures, that white thing in that bowl is all of the soap that I collected from evaporation in the BioDome last summer. I can sterilize that with UV radiation and turn that back into soap. These are my rainwater collectors, and then of course dew. The second feature, next, purifying water. So I have the water that I purified. I want to start using methane. I've got lots and lots and lots of sources of methane here on my urban farm because I raise chickens, ducks, rabbits, fish, crickets, worms, mealworms, and we also compost. So I've got lots and lots of compost and biomass available for methane. Methane needs one thing, high pressure. High pressure is high temperature. High temperature is the BioDome. So now I have pressurized methane that I can use for next, creating energy. I can run all of my backup systems on generators that are run on the methane gas that I've collected and pressurized in the specialized tank within the dome. Next, feature 4, food. I still can grow food hydroponically. I can grow food outside. The biomass that comes from the methane generation system, I can use right in my gardens. And I can grow food year round with different systems. All I have to do is move the hydroponic system into the BioDome, and I can guarantee it won't freeze. Next. Lessons of failure. This was this morning. Next. So this is my, oh, can you go back one? I'm sorry. One more, go forward. I really wish I was running this. I apologize.
I apologize too. Are we on 3?
I need to be on the next one after 4.
Okay, let me keep going.
Keep going. Lessons in failure. And then one more and stop.
One more, okay.
This is the Mark II solar still. This is what I used for all water purification last year. This year I'll have 5 of these, but they're much larger. So this morning, literally my time, at 7 o'clock in the morning, I decided I should teach myself how to drill through plate glass and failure. It's not easy to drill through plate glass. So I just used a design cycle, learned from failure, and switched to neodymium magnets that hold the glass super tight down to that champagne box, which is what I'm using. And it is purifying water as we speak. It is currently 52 degrees in there, and that cup is full and overflowing with water that I used to wash dishes this morning. Never underestimate the power of failure. So next slide. So the BioDome 2.0 is completely renewable and sustainable, and it's a toy. It's a toy that I have applied to a real world problem. Very much like Sid's amazing AI lice identification issue, I know this is an issue. What makes the BioDome sustainable? It is the core of sustainability in that it's replicable. Anyone can do this. It's empowering to young people to start producing water from nothing. I'm basically Luke Skywalker here by just pulling water out of the atmosphere and reusing it. It's self-growing and it's beneficial for everyone. No one person needs to benefit from this. Everyone can still benefit from this. And the cycle within the BioDome 2 is next. Completely in line with the UN 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And so that, my friends, is my presentation. Next. If you want to know more, there's my contact information, and I'm done. I have 3 minutes to answer questions. Any questions?
All right.
And
so I'd like to ask if you, Kelly, or Belen, you have any questions, because I actually already have one in mind. If you guys want to have any questions, you feel free to answer, ask yours first.
Go ahead, go ahead.
All right. So here's my question, Jim. When can I see this BioDome at my house? Because I want to have something like that, to be honest with you. I want to have something like that nearby my house, maybe a community version where it's just one big biodome or many different biodomes. So like, where could we find resources that could help us do that? Or are you planning on being able to like sell the design or patent it?
I can't patent it because the design is ancient. I mean, they've had this design for 4,000 years. What you could do is go to mezzacello.org, which is my website, and just look up BioDome 2.0. All of my site is open source because it's not my vision to take advantage of people. It's my vision to empower people to make the changes that they want to see in the world. So what I suggest that you do is scale this down. Just test it. I used wine boxes that were given to me by my grocery store up the street. They're really solid. They're made of wood. They absorb heat well, and glass from a fireplace that somebody had thrown away, which, by the way, is tempered glass and you can't drill through that. So use neodymium magnets, which I just bought at my local hardware store. Everything else I just had here. You could do this in a doghouse. Just get a doghouse, seal the front of it, make sure that the top of it is open to the sun. It will become a solar still, and whatever water you put in there will evaporate. Just have something on the side to catch that water, and you have fresh water. The one thing I didn't mention that I should have, but I was in a hurry, I apologize, is that the nice feature about the Mark III is that failure when I was trying to drill through was actually a feature, because when I super glued the neodymium magnets on top of the glass to pull through the glass to a neodymium magnet underneath it, which is strong enough to withstand about 7 kilograms of pressure. The glass itself is around 8 kilograms of pressure. So if I turn it over, it won't hold. But if I tilt it at a 6-degree tilt, so the water will run down, it's super strong. And if I want to refill that pan inside, all I have to do is apply 7 kilos of pressure to that glass, lift it right off, fill that, put it right in. The Mark II, I had to open a door in the back to load it in, and it lost a lot of heat that way. the Mark III doesn't lose heat. That neodymium is really working, and it's applying quantum effects to a real world problem. Magnets, which is really just light, because magnets and electricity are the same thing, and that's all light. Maxwell's equations and all that, but anybody could do this. If you could make a dome, and it doesn't have to be big, build a still, put it in there, you could be producing water by the end of the day. That's my answer.
Thank you for that. I think we have time for another one more quick question. Is that right, Kelly?
Perrin, I see one in the question and answer, and it says, does it work for very dry places like the desert?
Absolutely. If you think about, I can't stop my phone now. If you think about people or plants and animals that live in the desert, there's moisture in the night air. There has to be, or all life would cease to exist there. This system works extraordinarily well in a desert because the hotter it is, the more moisture it's going to attract to itself on its surface. You just have to have a system that will pound the plastic. And the system that I'm using is a modified baby bouncer. I don't know if you've ever seen those. It's just a system that goes up and down, and it allows a baby to bounce. And the system, it's like a modified iPhone ring. You know how your iPhone can vibrate? It just vibrates, and it uses a solar panel and a wind turbine to make that power vibrate, and that knocks all the water loose. And the benefit of the Mark II is because it's using that geodesic structure, those angles cause water to fall faster than if it were a gradual slope. So there's a lot of unintended consequences on it. But yeah, a desert would work beautifully. So would a rainforest. Both have lots of water at night. Any other questions?
Thank you for answering Alex's question.
Of course.